Here is something most people never realize at the makeup counter. Cosmetics are barely regulated. In the United States, the FDA cannot approve a cosmetic before it is sold, cannot demand safety testing, and cannot even force a recall when it finds something dangerous. So worst in this video does not mean illegal or that every product harmed everyone. It means the brands with the most serious documented safety failures on public record, the recalls, the lawsuits, the confirmed contaminants. Many of these issues have since been addressed, and every company here denies wrongdoing, which is only fair to say up front. This is about knowing the history so you can choose well. Before we start, hit like and subscribe. Let's get into it. 1. Johnson & Johnson. No cosmetic story is bigger than Johnson & Johnson's talc-based baby powder, a product trusted in American homes for over a century. The trouble is that talc is mined from the ground right alongside asbestos, a known carcinogen, and the two can end up mixed together. In 2019, the FDA found trace asbestos in a bottle of Johnson's baby powder, and the company recalled about 33,000 bottles, part of a wider FDA survey that tested cosmetics for asbestos contamination. What followed became one of the largest product liability sagas in history. Tens of thousands of people have sued, and by 2026, roughly 67,000 claims were consolidated in federal court alone, with plaintiffs alleging the powder caused ovarian cancer and mesothelioma. Some juries have delivered staggering verdicts, including nearly $5 billion to 22 women in 2018 and $1.5 billion award to a single plaintiff in late 2025. The company has tried 3 times to resolve the cases through bankruptcy, and each attempt was rejected by the courts. In fairness, and this matters, Johnson & Johnson firmly denies any wrongdoing, insists its talc has always been asbestos-free, is appealing the verdicts, and has actually won several trials outright. So the litigation is genuinely unsettled rather than one-sided. The science is contested too. The American Cancer Society describes the ovarian cancer link from ordinary talc as slightly increased at most, with the clearer danger being talc that is contaminated with asbestos. So while Johnson & Johnson built a century of trust on that iconic white bottle, that decades-long asbestos fight quietly raises a question the gentle branding was designed to prevent. When a product marketed as pure enough for a newborn spends years in court over what might be hiding in it, how much certainty were you ever really sold? It helps to understand why this one case grew so enormous. Talc and asbestos form in the earth under similar conditions, so a talc deposit that is not carefully selected and purified can carry asbestos fibers along with it, and even a trace of asbestos is considered dangerous because there is no established safe level of exposure. Court documents that plaintiffs put in front of juries appeared to show internal testing that detected asbestos decades ago, which the company disputes the interpretation of. Whatever a final settlement eventually says, the takeaway for a shopper is already clear. The safest version of this product is the talc-free cornstarch-based powder the company itself now sells. The most important practical detail is one of dates. Johnson & Johnson stopped selling its talc-based baby powder in North America in 2020 and worldwide by 2023, replacing the talc with cornstarch. So the version on shelves today is not the one at the center of the lawsuits. If you have an old bottle of the classic talc powder tucked in a bathroom cabinet, that is the one worth retiring. This is a case where the honest advice is genuinely simple. The reformulated product sidesteps the entire dispute, and cornstarch does the same job of keeping skin dry. 2. Claire's is a mall fixture built almost entirely around children and teenagers, which is exactly what makes its asbestos story so troubling. Starting in 2017, independent testing reported asbestos in a number of Claire's makeup products, and in 2019, the FDA said its own testing confirmed tremolite asbestos in 3 of them, eyeshadow, compact powder, and a contour palette, all aimed squarely at young girls. What happened next was extraordinary. The FDA asked Claire's to recall the 3 products, and Claire's refused because the agency has no power to force a cosmetic recall. The FDA then took the rare step of publicly warning consumers directly not to use the products. Claire's disputed the findings, accused the agency of faulty testing, and insisted its makeup was safe, though it did pull the items out of an abundance of caution and has since moved to talc-free cosmetics. To be fair, Claire's maintains to this day that its products were safe and that the trace levels were within European and Canadian limits, and the company now avoids talc entirely. But a retailer refusing a federal health agency's recall request over makeup sold to children is about as stark an example of the regulatory gap as exists. So while Claire's is sold as harmless, sparkly fun for kids, that 2019 standoff quietly raises a question the cheerful storefront is designed to prevent. When a company can simply say no to the FDA and keep its shelves stocked, who exactly is protecting the youngest customers in the store? There is a broader point buried in the Claire's saga that is easy to miss in the drama of a standoff. The entire episode was only possible because United States law does not not require cosmetics to be tested before they are sold, and gives the FDA no power to compel a recall the way it can with food or drugs. A company genuinely convinced of its own safety, as Claire said it was, can lawfully decline, leaving a public warning as the government's strongest available tool. For a category of products applied directly to children's faces, that is a remarkably thin safety net, and it is the same net stretched under every brand in this video. To Claire's credit, the ending of its story is genuinely better than the middle. The company reformulated to talc-free cosmetics publicly said it supports stronger FDA oversight of personal care products and offered refunds on the products in question. That does not erase the alarm of a retailer telling a federal agency no over children's makeup, but it does show that public pressure works, that a brand caught in a scandal can change course, and that the talc-free label the company now carries is exactly the kind of signal a careful shopper should look for. 3. Justice was another enormously popular tween brand, and its makeup landed in the same asbestos scandal as Claire's at almost the same time. In 2017, journalists had a Justice product called Just Shine Shimmer Powder independently analyzed, and the testing found trace asbestos. In response, the company pulled around 8 cosmetic products from its shelves. The FDA later confirmed asbestos in a Justice product as part of the same wave of testing that caught Claire's, though by then the item had already been recalled. The pattern was the same across both brands. Inexpensive, glittery, talc-based makeup marketed to children, made cheaply enough that contaminated talc could slip through with no mandatory testing to catch it before it reached a child's face. That is the real lesson of Justice. Not that one shimmer powder was uniquely evil, but that the budget children's makeup category had a systemic sourcing problem. So while Justice was sold as affordable fun for growing kids, that 2017 recall quietly raises a question the low prices were designed to prevent. When the makeup aimed at children is also the cheapest and least tested in the store, what exactly are you trusting to end up on their skin? It is worth being fair about scale here. These were trace amounts detected by sensitive testing, not visible chunks of a deadly mineral, and there is no way to know how many children were meaningfully exposed. But that uncertainty cuts both ways, because with asbestos there is no reassuring lower limit, and the diseases it causes can take decades to appear. The responsible reading is neither panic nor dismissal, but simple avoidance. Talc-based glitter makeup for kids carries a contamination risk that talc-free alternatives do not, so there is no reason to gamble when a safer option sits right beside it. 4. Avon. Avon is one of the most storied names in American beauty, the door-to-door empire your grandmother probably bought from, which makes its place on this list genuinely sad. Like Johnson & Johnson, Avon sold talc-based powders for decades, and like Johnson & Johnson, it has faced lawsuits alleging those powders were contaminated with asbestos. In 2022, a California jury ordered Avon to pay $40 million, including punitive damages, to a 76-year-old woman who developed mesothelioma after years of using the company's talc products. Court evidence in that case indicated Avon executives had been aware of asbestos concerns in their talc for years, and the company has faced additional talc claims since. It is the same fundamental story as the baby powder giant, just attached to a gentler, more nostalgic brand. So while Avon built loyalty on decades of trusted, familiar products delivered right to the door, that mesothelioma verdict quietly raises a question the friendly image is designed to prevent. When a brand this beloved is found liable for a cancer tied to its powder, how safe is the assumption that a trusted name equals a tested one? Avon's inclusion is also a useful correction to a comforting myth, the idea that these problems belong only to faceless discount brands. Avon was the opposite of that, a heritage company sold person to person, associated with trust and relationships, and a friendly face at the door. If a brand built almost entirely on personal trust could still end up liable for asbestos in its talc, then reputation and longevity are simply not the safety guarantees people assume they are. The label on the front tells you about marketing. Only the ingredients and the testing tell you about safety. 5. Neutrogena and Banana Boat. This entry is not about a bad ingredient anyone chose, but about a carcinogen that should never have been there at all, benzene. In 2021, the independent lab Valisure tested nearly 300 batches of sunscreen from 69 companies and detected benzene, a chemical linked to leukemia and blood cancers, in 78 of them, with no safe level of exposure. The fallout was swift. Johnson & Johnson voluntarily recalled 5 Neutrogena and Aveeno aerosol sunscreens, and Banana Boat and Coppertone issued their own benzene recalls over the following years. Benzene is not a sunscreen ingredient. It is a contaminant, most likely creeping in through propellants or the manufacturing process, which is why the spray products were hit hardest. That distinction matters because it means the problem was sloppy quality control rather than a deliberately toxic formula, and the affected batches were pulled. So while these trusted sunscreens are sold as everyday protection lotion you slather on your kids at the beach, those benzene recalls quietly raise a question. The health halo of sun safety is designed to prevent. When a product you apply precisely to prevent cancer turns up contaminated with a cancer-causing chemical, how closely is anyone actually checking what comes out of the can? The reassuring part of the sunscreen story is that the system, imperfect as it is, did eventually respond. An independent lab caught the problem, the findings went public, and the affected products were pulled from shelves. It is also worth naming what did not happen, because the honest framing depends on it. There was no wave of illnesses tied to these specific sunscreens, no proven cancers, only the detection of a contaminant that should not have been present at any level. The recalls were precautionary, which is the system behaving the way it should. The reason it still earns a place here is that a product marketed as a cancer prevention tool is held to a higher promise than most, and finding any amount of a carcinogen in it, even by accident, is a failure of exactly the trust that sunscreen is sold on. 6. Dove, Tresemme, and the dry shampoos. The benzene problem did not stop at sunscreen. In 2022, Unilever recalled roughly 19 aerosol dry shampoos, including household names like Dove, Nexus, Suave, and Tresemme, after benzene was detected in the products. It was one of the largest hair care recalls in recent memory, and it hit brands sitting in millions of bathroom cabinets. Unilever was not alone. Procter & Gamble separately recalled aerosol dry shampoos and conditioners under brands such as Pantene, Herbal Essences, and Aussie, and had earlier recalled Old Spice and Secret aerosol antiperspirants for the very same reason. The through line is unmistakable. Benzene keeps turning up as a contaminant in pressurized spray products across the entire personal care industry, from sunscreen to dry shampoo, which points to a shared weakness in how aerosols are made and tested. So while these dry shampoos are sold on convenience and a fresh, clean feeling between washes, that wave of benzene recalls quietly raises a question. The effortless marketing is designed to prevent. When the same carcinogen shows up in spray after spray from brand after brand, is this really a run of bad luck or a category that was never being watched closely enough? What makes the aerosol story genuinely useful rather than just alarming is how easy the fix is. In almost every case, the benzene showed up in the pressurized, propellant-driven spray version of a product, while the pump, stick, or roll-on version of the same category was not implicated. That means you rarely have to give up a product you love. You just change the format you buy it in. It is one of the clearest examples in this entire video of a real risk that a small, painless swap almost completely removes. 7. When by Chaz Dean. When by Chaz Dean was a celebrity-endorsed hair care sensation. Its cleansing conditioners sold with glossy infomercials promising healthier, fuller hair. Instead, it generated one of the most alarming complaint records in cosmetic history. Thousands of users reported significant hair loss, thinning, breakage. The numbers are what make this one stand out. The FDA said it had received more than 21,000 complaints connected to WEN products, which the agency described as the largest number of adverse event reports it had ever received for any cosmetic hair cleansing product. A class action lawsuit brought by a large group of women was eventually settled. In fairness, the company has consistently denied that its products cause hair loss, and no single ingredient was ever definitively proven to be the culprit, which is part of why cosmetic cases are so hard to resolve. So while Wen was sold on the dream of thicker, more beautiful hair, that flood of complaints quietly raises a question the celebrity glamour is designed to prevent. When a product promising fuller hair draws record numbers of people reporting the opposite, how much of the promise was ever actually tested? The Wen story is also a window into why cosmetic complaints are so slippery. Hair loss has many possible causes, from stress to genetics to illness, so proving that a specific product caused it in tens of thousands of different people is genuinely difficult, which is exactly why the company could keep denying responsibility even as the reports piled up. But the sheer record-shattering volume of those reports is itself the signal worth heeding. When a single product generates more adverse event complaints than the FDA had ever logged for anything in its category, that is not a reason to assume innocence. It is a reason to be cautious. 8. Brazilian blowout. Brazilian blowout became the name in salon hair smoothing treatments, promising sleek, frizz-free hair for months. The problem was hiding in the chemistry. The treatment, like many keratin smoothing systems, released formaldehyde, a known carcinogen, when the product was heated with a blow dryer and flat iron during application. Stylists, who breathed the fumes all day, reported burning eyes, nosebleeds, breathing problems, and headaches, and some clients reported hair loss and scalp damage. Regulators took notice. The company reached a settlement with California's Attorney General in 2012 over failing to warn about formaldehyde, and both the FDA and workplace safety officials issued warnings about these treatments. To be fair, formaldehyde-free smoothing options now exist, and salons are far more aware of ventilation than they once were. So while Brazilian Blowout was sold on effortless, long-lasting, salon-perfect hair, that hidden formaldehyde quietly raises a question the luxury experience is designed to prevent. When the treatment making your hair beautiful is quietly filling the salon with a carcinogen, who was protecting the person holding the dryer, let alone the person in the chair. This one carries an extra lesson because the people most harmed were often not the customers, but the workers. A client might sit through a smoothing treatment a few times a year. The stylist breathes those heated fumes all day, every working day, which is why formaldehyde-based treatments became an occupational health issue as much as a consumer one. It is a reminder that the true cost of a beauty trend is sometimes paid by the person providing it, and a good reason, if you still want the sleek result, to seek out a salon that uses a clearly formaldehyde-free system with proper ventilation. That is the encouraging pattern underneath every entry here. Sunlight on a problem tends to fix it, and an informed shopper is the brightest light of all. So how do you protect yourself when the products themselves are barely policed? The good news is that a few simple habits move you out of the path of almost every problem on this list. Here's the safer approach, and it costs you nothing but a little attention. The safer approach. First, favor talc-free powders. Nearly every asbestos story here traces back to talc, so a powder built on cornstarch, rice, or another talc-free base sidesteps the entire contamination risk, and more brands now label themselves talc-free precisely because shoppers started asking. Second, for sun protection, reach for lotions over aerosol sprays, or choose a mineral sunscreen based on zinc oxide or titanium dioxide, since the benzene recalls overwhelmingly hit pressurized spray formats rather than simple creams. Third, be cautious with anything that fills the air. Aerosol dry shampoos and formaldehyde-based salon smoothing treatments both put fumes into your lungs, and both have proven to be trouble. A pump product or a formaldehyde-free treatment removes the risk. Finally, let independent testing do the work for you. Free resources like the Environmental Working Group's Skin Deep database rate products by ingredient safety, and certifications such as EWG Verified Signal that a company chose to be checked rather than hoping no one would look. None of this requires fear or a bathroom purge. It just tilts your everyday choices toward the products least likely to end up in a story like this one, which means the decision, as always, is about information, not fear, information. Here is the honest balance to carry out of this video. The vast majority of cosmetics you own are perfectly fine. The products named here were flagged for specific, documented reasons, and in almost every case, the company disputed the findings or pulled the affected items. This is not a reason to throw out your makeup bag or to believe every beauty product is poison. That would be its own kind of fear bait, and it is not the point. The real lesson is bigger than any single brand, and it is about the system behind all of them. The FDA cannot approve a cosmetic before it reaches the shelf, cannot require safety testing, and cannot force a recall even after finding a carcinogen, which is exactly how a company like Claire's could simply refuse one. So the skill this leaves you with is simple and quietly powerful. Assume no one tested it for you and shop accordingly. Turn the package over, favor talc-free and mineral and fragrance simple products, lean on independent ratings, and give your trust to the brands that choose transparency, not the ones that merely have the biggest advertising budget. Do that, and the whole list of horror stories above becomes a set of mistakes you have learned to walk around. If this gave you something to think about, go ahead and like it. Share it with the parent buying sparkly makeup for a child, or the friend who sprays dry shampoo every single morning without a thought. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because the more clearly you understand how these decisions actually get made, the better the decisions you get to make for yourself. We will see you in the next one.